Bluetooth in my ear, I don't need a ticket. Trying to find me a freak who really trying to kick it. I'm a Michael Vicker chick, dog, out good. I'm on Manchester rolling through Inglewood. Car cleans, rim big on blink. Little chick on the side saying do the damn thing. About 10 o'clock, so some shit about to pop. Ain't talking police, but a bitch, I'm a cop. Fitted hat on with a mean little strut. $20 in my pocket, but I don't give a fuck. Niggas in the party lighting up the street. Oh, what we doing after this? Rome hit Rebo.
What's going on, man? It's West Warrior Sundays interviews. You know what I'm saying? Y'all welcome to this Sunday morning, man. Another week down. I know we've been MIA for the past few weeks, but it's been a lot going on. So happy belated Father's Day, happy belated Memorial's Day to people, happy belated birthdays to motherfuckers. You know what I'm saying? But today we got my boy Sarge here today, man. We're gonna come to you with some real stuff, man. Like I said, the West Warrior interviews, we sit down and get the real scoop, you know, just get ideas and perspective from the everyday working man. So what's up, Sarge, man? How you doing today, man? Why don't you go ahead and tell the people who you are, what section of the world you in, and what's going on with you? You know, you ain't got to give them much, just a little bit.
Oh, what's good, man? I appreciate you, first of all, having me on your show. It's been a long time, you know. You've been asking me, and I've been kind of doing other things, but finally I'm here, and I appreciate you, man, again. Right now, I currently live in Columbia, Missouri. Used to be from LA, was born and raised in Inglewood. And then about 2019, I saw the pre-craziness happening. So I decided to bounce. That way I can give my kids a good education, you know, a good chance, you know, stop getting that tunnel vision. But I'm West Coast through and through, man. I mean, I think about it all the time, but this is home now, you know.
Nothing wrong with that, man, at all. A lot of people, what some people don't realize is majority of the people who live on the West Coast either migrate from the South, and that when they make their money, they go back home, you know, Houston, Alabama, Louisiana, you know, those areas. So, but, you know, they always say, damn, man, I miss California. They all say that.
Yeah, for sure, man, especially the food.
The food.
Yeah.
The women for the guys that are single and can't get dates, if they can go find one at a club, or they can purchase one on Figueroa.
Yeah. They get military discounts on me.
Hey, some VA rules may apply. Who knows? But like I say, man, we got some questions for Sarge today, man. Like I say, we like to tap into real individuals, you know, people that are down to earth, man. Like I said, we open to everything here, man. That's what people needs nowadays, people to be open and down to earth. Get back to reality, laugh a little more. Right. Stop being so uptight about a lot of bullshit, especially shit you can't control.
That's right.
You know? So, I mean, but before we get into these questions, man, you know, you got something you want to let the people know, you know, some you want to let the people know what's going on in your section of the earth here on the West Coast. You see what's going on, a lot of crazy stuff. But I mean, where you are, I'm not too familiar with the scenery down there.
Well, I mean, over here, I mean, let's put it this way. It's not as active as it is out in the cities, out in the coasts, you know, and then in between. But I think the main thing is to just be patient, man. Don't get too emotional over things. Don't make decisions based off of emotion. It's going to be okay. Believe me, I'm the first one to tell you, you know, I got PTSD and I'm always freaking out about shit. So I always have to take a step back. And that's what I tell other people, man. You're letting life pass you by, you know, and you're not enjoying your life. You know, the man already makes it to where you had to go A to B working. You ain't stopping, you know, you got a schedule, but, you know, you just got to do it yourself. Take a step back and look at your wife and look at your kids or look at your whole situation, man. It's going to be okay. You'll get out of it. You know, you've heard it before, you know, once you're down, there's no other way but up. So, and pray, man, honestly, pray, you know, that's That's my take.
Yeah, you're right. Some people got to pray. Some people praying to the bottle every night. You know, you can't pray to the bottle every night.
I've done both, man, and at the same time. So, you know,
Oh
makes for
man,
good
well, like I say, man,
conversation.
man, hey, we man, shit. Trust me, I tell a lot of people, man, that's one thing I don't miss, man, is hard liquor, man. I do not miss that at all.
Yeah, no, I eased up as well, man. You know, I get, you know, I think it's an age thing. And then your priorities, that's the other thing. Like I said, once we bounced over here to Missouri, you know, I was kind of like game on, you know, I got to do this for my fam.
Yeah, and almost everything that's in Missouri is probably a mile away to get to. So shit, that's probably
But
why.
hey, I'm in a like big little city, dog. And when I first got here, there was only like, uh, let's say, sidewalks every once in a while here and there. But now they're putting in
Yeah,
sidewalks everywhere. So we're coming up big,
everywhere.
you know.
That's one thing I like about down south. You know, the places, the areas, even in some city sections where you had areas that didn't have sidewalks, you know, like this side of the street is all grass. And I always thought
Yeah,
that was weird.
yeah, it's weird, but it's kind of cool too, dog. You know, because and then nobody can sweat you for walking down the middle of the street. I'm like, you know, like back
Yeah,
home.
yeah,
You know,
yeah, yeah. You're right, man. But like I say, man, I ain't gonna hold you up, man. We're gonna get into these questions if you're ready for them.
hey, I'm ready. I'm all yours, dog. You take the time you need.
All right, man. So this first question I got for you, you know, what was life like for you before joining the Marines? What motivated you to enlist? And before you answer that question, like I want to give my recognition where it's due. You know, for serving in this military. A lot of people always talk that shit about, oh, I did this, I wanted to do this, and they're like, get out here. You could have did like anybody did, enlisted, and you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So
No,
you
I hear
know,
you.
can,
I hear you, and I
just sending
appreciate that, man.
yeah, big ups, you know what I'm saying? Like a lot of people talk that shit all the time, but I mean, come on, man. You gonna get your ass blown off for strangers? Nah, that's heroic.
Yeah, I appreciate that, and yeah, there's men and women that have sacrificed more than I have. You know, I know, like when I came out of the service, you know, I counted my blessings and I felt like I was good to go. You know, and not till later on I found out, you know, things were catching up and I had to address those. But let me answer your question, man. And again, I appreciate your time and you thanking me and others for our service, Doug. And you know, it like a lot of times, like for my kids, I'll tell them you don't have to go Marine Corps if you know you don't want to. Just because I did it, you know, let's look at the jobs, what'll train you real well, and what'll set you up for after if you just decide to stay in for a little bit and then bounce. You know, you might as well use it. They're using you, you know, so you might as well use it to your advantage as well. But yeah, for me, you know, Mexican kid, parents from Mexico, immigrated over here to LA. What better place, man? I mean, there's a lot of nice cities out there, but LA, uh, man, you know, what can you say? But you know, raised three kids, uh, became citizens, always taught me to love my country and my heritage, of course. You know, don't ask me to speak Spanish, man, because I'll chop it all up, and that's my bad. But at least I'm on it with my kids, you know, about your heritage and all. Um, but it was crazy, man. I was born in '78, and all through the '80s, I remember '84 was the Olympics out in LA at the Coliseum, you know, and it was they were trying to deck everything out all nice and shit, but really in the hood where I was at, it was nothing but gangs. You know, you had to, you know, rep. You had to get jumped in. I got chased for my Reebok pumps, my British Knights. I got chased for British Knights, dude, just because they're brand new and shit. You know. Uh,
Those was the shit back in the day, man.
oh, you know what I'm saying? Well, I believe me, when I got them, dude, we were so, um, I guess poor. We weren't poor, man, but we were like middle income, low. You know, trying to stay in that other extra level. but I always got like off-brand kicks. My dad would always buy me the same ones with the Velcro till I was like fucking 12, man. That shit was embarrassing.
Yeah.
You know, but once I got them, you know, dude, I took care of those mugs, dog. It's just, you know, you take care of what the little that you get, you know, because you don't get a lot.
Yeah.
You didn't get a lot back then.
Yeah. Especially in the hood.
Oh, there's one thing you got of abundance of, and it was ass whooping from your dad. You know, if you always act up, that was one thing. Mom would throw in her shit too, there, her fucking chancla or a wooden spoon. That motherfucker hurt. I broke 2 of those on my ass. But anyways, so I came through Inglewood. The whole reason it came about, me thinking about the military was at one point I was going through the public school system, and then at one point my parents put me in the private school system. So I ended up going out to Bishop Montgomery out in Torrance. So, you know, there was a lot of well-off families, you know, and I wasn't one of them. But you know, they always make you think about college and all that good stuff. And I knew I couldn't go to college without helping out my parents, you know, and I was stuck in that trend of after high school, you have to go to college, you know, not knowing about trade schools and things like that, you know, which are really, really good. Sometimes better than colleges, Dale. You know what I'm saying? Trade schools, they give you the education and the experience. So that's one thing all you young bloods need to be checking too, no matter where you're at. But I actually sent in for some information to the Army Reserves, the Army National Guard, all right? And about a month later, I got a little postcard from the Marine Corps. And they told me, hey, why don't you come on in, check it out, see what's going on. And I remember them leaving me an impression as they were walking around in the high schools, you know, they're trying to recruit all the seniors and shit like that. And I saw, you know, a couple of the bums just kind of like putting their hands in their pockets, or they were just all dirty and wrinkled up, and, you know, or they were just like back on the block, you know. And the Marines were always just there. They were cool as shit, you know, but they were crisp and cut and clean. And they're like, what's up? You know, come talk to me. They weren't, you know, trying to get people to come up to them, but they were just letting them float over. You know what I'm saying? Everybody had that curiosity of like, why aren't they saying anything? So it started that way. So yeah. I took the challenge from the recruiter, and he had me go into every other branch after I took my test. I believe it's the ASVAB, so it should still be that way. And you know, so you get a score, A or B, Alpha or Bravo. So I went around and you know, I went into the Army, Air Force, Navy. Didn't go to the Coast Guard because the Coasties weren't around then. Didn't have an office in the hood there. But everybody promised me the world, dog. Like I was gonna be a Navy SEAL. I was gonna have a whole job that I wanted. You know, I was basically Superman. And so I went back to my recruiter, and he was like, all right, man. I remember Staff Sergeant. He said, hey, man, go ahead and sit down and let's talk about what you found out. So I told him, and he was like, oh, man, yeah, it sounds good, huh? You got the whole world coming to you. You can sign up wherever you want. I was like, yeah, man, that's good to go, you know. And I was like, you know, so I'm doing this for college money. And he just kind of looked at me and was smiling like, yeah, right, motherfucker. You're like, I got your college, dog, you know. And he goes, well, it's my turn. I said, okay, well, what do you got for me, Staff Sergeant? He says, why in the fuck do you think I should let you into my Marine Corps? Stare me dead in the eye and ask me that question. And I remember it took me back, you know, like, what the hell? Like, I just came from all these other dudes, and they were just telling me everything I wanted to hear. You know, I was 17, dog, you know, impressionable. And you were hearing things that, you know, that made you feel like, yeah, I'm doing this. And when he told me that, he hooked me, dog. He hooked me. Something inside of me said, this is where I'm going to be. This is what I'm going to do. I'm up to the challenge. And mind you, I was introverted, very quiet, different from how you know me, man. You know how I am, loud as shit. And I like to talk a lot of shit, you know, but I was very introverted. And right there and then, man, signed on a dotted line, 99.99. General Marine. I didn't pick a job, nothing. I just wanted to go in. I wanted to become a Marine, and then I told them, "Hey, you put me in where you need me," and that was that, dude. That's how I joined.
That's what's up, man. That's a pretty interesting story. You usually hear a lot of people coming from the areas we grew up in say they joined because the family needed money, and
Yeah,
they joined, and because I was the oldest of 20 kids, some shit like that.
that's right.
So it's always interesting hearing different stories. You know what I'm saying? Because I know back in the day, you used to hear old school songs saying, "Mama send baby off to the military to get killed for the family." Back in the 50s, 60s, sending the black kids off to the military.
Yeah,
So just these older
yeah. I
things that
mean,
came out
honestly,
of what
like
they say
when you're in
out
there,
of that.
you start seeing all these folks that are. You're right. You, you need something. You weren't. You need some money. You need to take care of your family, like you said, and that's the honest truth, dude. There's very few in between that had
Yeah,
money, and those dudes were cool, but you know, they knew they can get out or something happened, they can go home and they're good. We all Everybody else was kind of like, damn, I got to stay in or think of something real good, you know, to keep me going and keep my family up.
yeah,
Yeah, you're right, man. There was a lot of people, poor people, unfortunately, poor people.
yeah. Now, you know what? Let me ask you a question based on that reply you just said. Do you think the military attracts more poor people than people who actually want to serve their country? Like people who join just for the finances rather than really wanting to serve their country?
Back when I went in, man, I went in '96. Back when I went in, um, it was like, I would say 50-50, to be honest with you. Later on, as I was going through my years, the change did happen to where it was more people that were motivated, and then let's not mention 9/11. At that point, when something like that happens, everybody's gun ho. It doesn't matter. All walks of life come in. But I would say back in my day, it was 50-50. And, it, it, I think it was a good mix, man, because, the attitude of having to be there versus wanting to serve. And when you mix that, uh, you tend to, you tend to be as weak as what's the damn saying? You're as weak as the weakest link or some shit like that. But when you have motivated people, that really changes a lot and makes you realize, okay, you know, I'm here to do a bigger job. But because my
Yeah,
mentality after I graduated boot camp, man, was okay, maybe I could hold off on school. And because while I was in boot camp, they do teach you about American history, military history, and it might be, swayed one way or the other. It's going to be biased, but when you come to realize the Marines alone that came before you and the sacrifices they made, the sacrifices that the people make and their families, you start getting like, okay, I could do this too. I want to be a part of that, you know, that tradition. I want to take care of my people. And for me, my people were, in my mind, not just my family, but it was the hood. It was Inglewood. It was LA. It was California. You know, Forget about the rest of the country. I didn't know it that much. I only went to go visit Mexico to see
yeah,
family, come back to California, maybe to Arizona to the river, but that was it. So my mentality did change, man, and it's something else. You know that, and that's for any job really. When everybody's gun ho and hitting on full on all pistons, dog, the day goes by a lot easier. There's a lot. So
Yeah.
It's something else, man, to see the motivation that people come out with.
Yeah, you right about that. Um, you know what? Let me ask you this next question.
All right.
How did serving in the military change your perspective on life, whether it's discipline, family, or how you see the world?
Oh man, that could be a big answer, or it can go all sorts of ways. But the first thing I
Give me a
remember.
simple answer.
All right. Well, let me try to be as quick and detailed as possible, I guess. The first thing I remember were rednecks, dog. When I went in, and the
Yeah,
streets taught me to
not
hate them.
rushing you, not rushing you at all. Just saying.
Hey, but there's nothing wrong with rednecks, dog. Look, everybody, everybody needs to stop being so goddamn sensitive, dog, so we can just do our thing, go about our business, enjoy life. It's kind of like comedy. It's kind of like when that heckler starts getting attitude with a comedian, and you're like, "What the fuck, man? You're at a comic show, dog." So, but the rednecks were the first things, and they pissed me off because the hood taught me to do that. All I knew was black and brown, dude. Some Asian from going to Torrance, high school in Torrance, but that's all I knew was black and brown. But I came to realize that rednecks were everybody is they were just the hood of every ethnic group, I guess. You know what I'm saying? We all got our, not the 10%.
Yes.
They're the wild bunch.
Yeah.
Sometimes you might be like, oh, not today, man, with it people. And other days you're like, I'm down, dog. That's where I'm going because they party. But I
Yeah.
was so stuck on race uh, that it was difficult in the beginning. I was always upset, angry, combative per se. But and then you realize, that Marine left and right of you, they're going through the same shit. They're doing the same training, having sweating their ass off, and they're in for the same mission, man. To be honest with you, and that's when you realize that mentally and physically, the pain is the same. So you get tight, you get really tight, man. And
Yeah.
the training that I received, it set me up for everything. Nothing was hard for me after I got out. Um, you just want to make sure that your brothers come back, they survive. Uh, if you get out, or when you get out, you come out with like the confidence of a god, dude. I know it sounds egotistic, man, but you have done so much, gone through so much, you know, that you're like, damn, I would have never thought I'd be doing this in a million years. But your confidence is so boosted, and it's all for a purpose. So you can run towards the bullets, dog. It's a form of brainwashing, yeah, but it's also a form of pride, dog. You're the best. Um, so I mean, the one thing that I remember, I mean, it's always so vivid to me. I live a lot of that almost every night, but I was happy that I did it. It really opened up my eyes once I went around the world, third world countries, dog, and you see, these little kids or women, like you see nothing but bones, dog, um, dirty water. They don't have electricity. They don't have, internet. They don't have clothes, man. No food, no light, no gas, nothing. And you got to go by, to complete your mission. And we would stop every once in a while, try to like hand out some water, some MRE, some food, to whoever we could try to help. But sometimes we wouldn't get resupplied enough, and you just can't. So we would ration our food and just hand it out to all the poor folks. It's an eye opener, man. You start realizing how spoiled we are here in America. Um, but it every day, that's the example. My dad used to tell me about the kids in Africa that needed food. Remember when Live Aid and was all them was doing that? It stuck to my dad, so we would always want to help. We'd send
Yeah.
clothes to our family in Mexico, and we try to send donations and money to somewhere else. And that's exactly. I busted out a video, a YouTube video, and showed my kids some of the struggles, some of the African people go through, the European people go through. Not all Europeans, mind you. Remember, Europe is a big area. People in South America, dog, and it brought tears to their eyes, and ever since then, they never said no to food. They're like, all right, I'll try it, whatever the case may be. But you come to realize, dude, that nothing is hard after the military except for dumbasses. Then it's hard not to choke a motherfucker.
That's everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So you know what? That'll lead me into this next question. What was the adjustment like going from military life to civilian work? Like when were we both when we both were at the airlines? Like how was that like? Well, how was the transition?
All right. So when I first got, mind you, I wasn't planning on getting out when I did. And when I did, it was like right away. I made that phone call back home and I talked to my family. And everybody was cool with it. My dad was like, I want you home, but if that's what you want to do, I got you. My sisters as well. And then I talked to moms, and moms gave me a different tune. So that's when I decided, and my command was surprised because I had papers for 6 years right off the bat on top of what I already accomplished, signed to re-up, and I ended up coming back home, and I was overseas. So I was overseas on a Wednesday. They flew me over on a Thursday, and then by Friday I was home or back in Inglewood. And Saturday morning I woke up and sat there like, what the fuck? Like I was straight up just leading my platoon, and now I'm just fucking sitting here, bed already made at 5 a.m, dressed up, ready to go, and I had nowhere to go. I didn't know, not even a job lined up, man. But once I got out there, no offense to anybody, but I was like, dude, I was discouraged and disgusted, to be honest with you. No one had enthusiasm in their jobs, no pride. Mind you, everything was like, here's an order, and you're already running before they can finish that order. You do it with speed and intensity and the best professionalism that you can, even if it's going to kill somebody. But there was no communication out here. People were just for themselves. But it was easy for me in a sense because all the training I did get in the military, I was more like Johnny on the spot, like I had speed, I had pride, I had that professionalism, I had that communication, I had that urgency and like that competition feeling, with that other buddy that you find at that work spot. You always get that one homie, and then that group gets bigger. You try to infect somebody with a good bug, man. That way your job can get easier. But I remember when I got to the airlines, that was more my speed. And you can contest to this, man, because, everybody was cool. And we would chill in the break room, wait for our flights, you remember, man. And then flight would get there and everybody's boning out. They run out the freaking, break room, you're ready for your aircraft. And the professionalism there, the speed there, the accuracy was there, all because you had to make sure that airplane got off the ground into its next destination safely. Because most of the time, as well as I know, we would let our fam get on a flight somewhere and go while we're working. Go ahead, have fun. So
Yeah.
every aircraft was like your family was on there. So I liked the rules that were in place there. I liked how it was strict. People barely fucked up, you know that. And when you did, it was your ass, you know, because that's how they put it to you. You know, if it's too
Yeah.
heavy, that plane's going down, man. You know, no, those are lives. So those lives are in your hands. So next time you people fly out, give patience to the rampers. A lot of times it's not the rampers, man. I'm not a ramper no more, but they get a lot of shit for no reason. They're either waiting on your sorry ass bag that you didn't want to zip up, or you wrapped it up, saran wrapped it up like with 1,000 yards of saran wrap. That shit don't work. That means you bought a cheap piece of luggage, and TSA is gonna rip that bitch up, allegedly. But
Exactly.
yeah,
Or 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 the ladies that put the big dildos in their carry-ons and don't think TSA gonna open the bag going through the screen, and then they get shocked like
oh man, yeah, no shit. Those were the Vegas guys, dog. Those are the ones that came down the chute. It popped open, and it was like thigh-high boots with whips, chains, doubled the dong dongs and shit. And man, just lotion everywhere on that clothes, man. It was a big mess,
man.
but
We had a crazy story over at the company we worked for earlier in the years, where one of the BCs, you know, the bag opened and had no identification. You had to try to find out who it belonged to. So when he opened the bag, went through it, you know, it had a, you know, woman's joy toy in there. It was like a 12-inch joy toy, and you know, this guy decides to sniff it and everything, play with it, and like, oh my god, I want to see who this belongs to. So they found out who bag it was. So this guy goes upstairs and he said, I want to see the lady who this bag belonged to. So he waits till no, it wasn't Carl. But it was a Carl though.
inside joke, ladies and gentlemen, inside joke, man. He was the coolest dude ever, and he had stories, right? He had stories up the ass, like no pun intended, but he had stories, dog.
That dude, man, that dude was he was wild, man.
He's shaking his head, man. He didn't know what to say, man.
You'd be sitting in the break room eating, and here comes
it's dark as fuck over there, and I think he's blushing. Nah, but and for real though, Carl was he was a cool dude, man. He was funny. He was a really good guy. You know.
Yeah, see, he wouldn't come at you like that. You know what I'm saying? He wouldn't, you know, everybody knew how he got down, and he already was entangled with somebody. He didn't come at you like that.
No, not at all. There was always a lot of respect.
Now, some of the other cats, that's different. You know, some of the other cats, they were 2 steps from getting their ass whooped. Like said, like, y'all need to get the fuck back. Like, you know, we play that shit.
Oh man.
Oh man. Well, let me ask you this next question, man. Where do you think America's headed economically, and what would you personally like to see change for working class people like us?
All right, so here's one that maybe not a lot of people are going to be on board with or like to hear, but you know, like your show, we're going to keep it real. All right. In my opinion, economically, in my opinion, if Trump, yes, sir, Donald Trump, if he's not allowed to finish restructuring America, then we're done, period. Okay. I'm pretty sure you all felt the pain the last 4 years, or maybe not. And if you didn't, good. But if you know, you know. But if he's trying to fix decades of political pollution, dog, of political red tape, corruption. I mean, you saw with Doge, man, like how far they're going and digging to see, and we all knew it. That's the thing. We all know it as voters, man. No matter what walk of life you come from, you know that there's some corrupt shit going on. Both sides have fucked us over. All right. Democrat and Republican. But you also got to remember that a lot of these folks that we're putting up there in DC, they're all lawyers by trade, dog. You know, they're not doctors and shit like that. They're at the FDA or like at Pfizer trying to make big bucks, you know. And what trips me out is you still call it a doctor's practice. All right. Why is it still called a doctor's practice after all these decades, centuries? It's kind of weird, ain't it? So they're still testing shit out on you. But I'm not saying don't go to a doctor, go to a doctor. Yeah, both sides have screwed us over, man. The lawyers, they like to use a lot of legal jargon, make it impossible for the everyday man and woman to understand the laws. They make them 1,000 pages, 5,000 pages, and fill them with all this bullshit. You know, they pork it up. And I think, honestly, I feel like if we saw less Big Brother or the federal government, and more of the local government making decisions for their people, I think it would be we as people would be a little better off. You got to think, man, just when it's you and your two other homies are in the car and you guys start talking about something or sport, and you'll have three different ideas or, you know, point of views. Now you multiply that by the amount of people we have in the US. That's not easy. So I can understand why people don't like one side or the other. So what we as people got to do is, I think we have to focus more on the local government, because the proof is in the pudding, man. A president can only be in there for 4, maybe 8 years. Okay. And really, you take away a year each term because they got to get their cabinet in, they got to set up all this other bullshit. And then they try to, you know, get a bill through the committee, then the House, and then the Senate, and then finally the president signs it, unless he does a, you know, whatchamacallem, one of them orders that presidential orders, you know, to get things going. Your local officials, they can spend a lifetime. Look at Newsom, look at Pelosi, look at what's her name, Maxine Waters. And I know Maxine is a favorite for a lot of people over there, but I don't think she's done shit for anybody, to be honest with you. What people don't realize is, even like the student council members, even like the people who are in the board of education, dog, because now a lot of us are hoping, you know, a lot of people are not like you and I. We discipline our kids at home. You go to school and study, and you make something of yourself. You know, a lot of other people like to send their kids to school to get babysat, and that's not where it's supposed to happen. They're not supposed to learn their common courtesies there. They're supposed to get educated.
Fact.
You know what I'm saying? It's not a daycare. So that's why I think school board people are a big one, man, for a lot of us. We have to focus on local government. Think about it. Here's a good example. Newsom, or I like to call him Newscum, like my daddy Trump. Pelosi, the Browns, remember Jerry Brown and the Browns back in the day? And Gettys, like the Getty Center, big oil people. Those four right there, own California, man. Ain't nothing happening in California without them deciding what's going on, because one of them is in the court systems, the other one has money, the other one is a politician, or a few of them are politicians. You know, so, you know, just think, those 4 families, man, are determining everything for you. And what have they really done for you? You're the one going out there busting your ass day in, day out. You know what I'm saying? So not them. They don't know exactly what you need. They don't give a shit. They got their nice homes. How are they making all these millions, dog, when they're you know, salary is nothing. I mean, better than mine. Shit, I wouldn't mind taking that salary, but you know,
Yeah.
they can't be making that much money off of what they make. So we got to focus on ourselves, remember our history, and not repeat it, and not beat it to death. Never forget. Just never forget goes for anything in life.
You're right. Some people tend to forget a lot of stuff, and I mean, let's be real. You can't erase history. That's why I tell a lot of people, no matter who you are, no matter how many people you get together and agree against something, there's always facts to something. So you can get a billion people to agree against something, but if the facts show something different, the billion people don't mean shit.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like people they know me as a Trump lover, dog. I love my Trump guy, man. But there's things I disagree with him on, and that's how it's gonna happen. If I said, "Oh, everything's perfect and he's right on 100%," then I'm fucking crazy, because we both know not everybody can be 100%, But like you said, economically, this country has been sold. Its ass has been sold, dog. China, Russia, and some of the South American countries, dog, and the Middle East, they're waiting for that shit. Well, they're waiting for us to fall. Remember, Africa even started that where they're like dropping the dollar, and there was a movement going on. And luckily, Trump came in, was elected, and reversed all that. There's a balance. There's a reason why we're number one, why everybody comes to the United States, because we take care of everybody. It's a known fact that if the United States does not do well, the rest of the world is going to fall, and fall hard.
I agree. Well, I mean, a lot of countries have citizens here working and sending money from here to those countries, not only supporting people, but also the government supports certain countries. You can Google certain things and find that out. Some country
Yeah,
they've
man.
been supporting for years and years and years.
Yeah, man. Oh yeah. Where's mine? Where's yours?
It's
Shit.
amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and to add to that real quick, man, I really got to say that we
It's just
gotta.
crazy. That's why I tell a lot of people you got to read.
Yeah, you're right, man. You're absolutely right, 100%.
Go ahead.
And we have to take care of our youngsters, man. We have to make sure they grow up right. It's okay to get that switch and wow, let them know what's up, man. And our elders, we tend to put aside because
Yeah.
they're just there in the way. But they went through it, dog. They a lot of times broke through the barriers or went through some shit to get to where we can have our chance. And I think the government should be taking care of not just the youngster, but the older folk, man. Let them enjoy their last few years, dude. How many times have you heard somebody retire and then they die like 6 months later, dude, of boredom, or just because they feel like they have nothing to do, So I hate to sound like a tree hugger, man, but we got to get
Or
back
financial struggles.
That's right. That's right. They pay more for medication, and I'm pretty sure you know why, than any other group. I just
Yeah.
and I hate to jump, and I don't mean to go off subject, man, but I have to say, I'm about that America first.
No,
Your people, my people, their people, whoever was here first, man, whoever came along, did it right, whoever put in the work, that's who should be getting taken care of. We as people, when we see somebody else struggling, and you've done this before, I know this. I've seen you do this before. You go help out the person that's, doesn't have something, whether it's food, a shirt, a coat, just like a what's up, man, I got you. We will help others out, but we need to help our own people first, man, because that's who's putting in the work, man. like I said, history. You got to remember history. I think you know what I'm pointing at too. You know, there is some the Carnival
Yeah.
Cruise, fucking back in the day. Yeah, you know, they put on the wrong sign and they fooled a couple folks, and they came and took a trip, and you know, they built this country. You know, those are the people that need it first.
Yep.
Am I saying they need reparations? No, because like California, there were never slaves there or never any slave owners. You know, are there people that still know their family history and were brought through there and were slaves? Hell yeah. And I think we have to find out somehow, you know, to take care of them, honor them, continue saying their names, you know, so we can grow strong as a nation, man. You know, enough of this bullshit where we're all separate. You know, that was one thing. Like I said, that's the other thing I miss about the military, the camaraderie, dog. You know, you're green, you're all green. You know, it don't matter. After a while, like I said, when I first got in, I was hating on some people, but after that, bro, you're the same. You put on your pants the same way I do in the morning, vice versa. You know, we got to stop with that bullshit. You know, King was right, dog. Can't we all just get along?
I mean, we can. I mean, there's a lot of things that have to be spoken about. That's just like certain shit that's going on in LA. Like the media is tending to pinpoint a separation between black and brown
Oh, yeah.
of support level, which is kind of crazy. Like I had a
Yeah.
conversation with somebody earlier. One of my buddies I used to play soccer with, he's El Salvadorian. And he said, you know what's so crazy, man? Like, he's married to a black woman. He said, it's crazy, you know, I thought everybody would be out there marching. And I said, you know what? I said, I'm gonna be real. I thought so honestly, but I said, you gotta really do the math. I said, I'm gonna tell you something that was told to me. This is from one of my Mexican partners. He said, you know what, bro? I'm gonna be real with you. If y'all go march with us, they're gonna really start shooting us. That's what he told me. And I said,
yeah,
wow.
you never know, man. You're right. You know, there's people that are trying to get their message across, and then there's those other idiots, Antifa, and other people that are like, and I seen, like you said, I seen it on TV myself too. You know, I see some of my people going out there and acting a fool, and you're like, dude, they're gonna fucking tell us to fuck off. You know, they're gonna, of course, they're gonna deport motherfuckers acting like that. You know, what are you doing, busting up cars and shit and tagging shit, and you know, it just don't make sense, man.
Yeah, and you know what's so crazy? I asked a little young cat earlier. You know, a lot of these guys that's on the street, that young dude. This was a little kid. He's actually mixed. He was black. He's black and Mexican. I know his dad.
Damn, he's fucked twice, huh?
You know,
double fucked.
And I asked him, I said, man, how you feel about everything that's going on? You know what I'm saying? And he was like, you know what's so crazy, bro? He said, I look at it from both sides. Kind of fucked up for me, man. He said, because he said, even though I'm black and Mexican, he said, when I go to jail, the Mexicans be trying to stab me. I said,
yeah, dog. So he literally has to go stand by the slide.
They came out of nowhere.
Yeah, he has to draw the line and stand right in the middle and shit. You know, the only fool with the monkey bars and shit. Oh, man.
But you know, I asked him, I said, where did that come from? And he broke it down. He said, I'm gonna be real. He said, going out there as black people protesting, he said, you know what's so crazy? Because he said, I see a lot of the brothers out here, because he was one of them young cats out there. He said, I see a lot of brothers out there. And he said, but what's fucked up is when them niggas go to jail, the same cats they protesting with gonna be in jail trying to stick them.
That's right.
And I was like,
that's right.
I was like, wow.
And guess where it comes from,
like
man?
22.
Yeah, and think about it, man. You know, back in the day, like all the lowriders and all the homies, you know, when Easy E was rapping, and you know, when gangs just hit its peak, dog. I mean, really, you know, I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. It just, you're right. It boggles my mind. He's correct, 100%. And they just need to stop beefing, dog. I mean, you're basically at the same level in society. You know, really, people don't. You know, I was listening to your podcast from the other day, from last week, I believe, and I forget who. I think you had mentioned it, or Don was saying it. He said that, you know, we have to take care of our own first, kind of like the America First idea. You gotta retrain your own people, man, and then go out and let them know, hey, we're on the same sheet of music. We just want to, you know, get our shit going and then live our lives, man. You know, I don't know. You just, there's no real easy answer. I mean, sure, you can go ahead and just shank the shit out of everybody, but what's that going to accomplish? You know, I don't know. And at the same time, you might hit that one motherfucker can defend himself. So you got to be careful too. You know, there's just too
Yeah,
much, dog.
I
There's too
mean,
much.
it is. It is. It's a lot of stuff that has to be addressed, especially in LA. Like I said, me spending a lot of time in Texas too. I see the difference between cultures, like the black and like Hispanic culture in Texas. It's close. You know what I'm saying? It ain't no beef. You know, that's some California
Mhm.
shit. That's just like Northern California don't get along with Southern California. You know what I'm saying? Like that's some
Yeah,
California shit.
yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. And it's like you said, it's basically the big cities now. You know, everybody acting a fool, and it goes back to everybody want putting their hand out, see what they can get. You know, and it's not about that, dog. You know, I'm pretty sure your parents taught you to work your ass off, you know, for your things, you know, and that's the way it should be, plain and simple.
Yeah, yeah. Or if it wasn't taught to some people, that's why some parents, the example they set, getting up, going to work, punching the clock, kids see that. You know what I'm saying? Just the
Mhm.
example that was set. Some people wake up every morning to a mom or dad sitting on the couch drinking and smoking. You know what I'm saying? Every morning,
I
not going to
wish.
work. See
No.
mom and dad like, damn, my mom
Yeah.
and dad was at home every day. You know what I'm saying? Like shit. You know, like fuck, how the hell I can be home every day, not working, still pay good and party all the time. You know, that's why I tell people California government is full of shit. They give away too much free money to anybody. The people who really need it can't get it. They get the bare minimum. And the people that's
Exactly.
turning up every weekend get the max.
Exactly. Exactly, dude. It's sad.
And and you know, people tend to think it's race. It's not race based. In California, let's do the math. The number one recipient of like electric benefit transactions, EBT, are not black and Hispanics.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm. Yeah, if you start looking, you're right. If you start looking at the numbers, dig in, you know, I think a lot of people are going to be shocked.
Like fact, man. Um, but you know what, man? I got one more question for you. Damn, we've been on here about an hour already. Let me ask you this last question.
Hmm.
So now that you retired and settled in, you know where you live, what's been giving you the most peace for or joy lately?
Happy endings. Nah, man. But for real, to answer your question, my family, my family has always been my foundation. You know, Jesus Christ. You know me, I can't be serious all the time, dog. You know, I'm throwing them jokes out. I'm trying to make somebody laugh. That's all. I like making people laugh, dog. So just like Carl made you blush, homie. But um,
No, no,
if you see
that
Carl
dude's
or
crazy.
anybody knows Carl, man, tell him I said what's up. Honestly, tell him I said what's up, dog. Because
Hey,
you know,
you know, hey, you know what's so crazy though? I
what's up?
ran into him at the well, it's Westfield now, but we know it as the Fox Hill Mall.
Yeah, Fox Hills, dog. Come on.
I ran into him. This was a while. Yeah, this was a while ago though. You know, I wouldn't even. I looked up. You know, had it second. You know, the balcony up there. I look up and I see somebody looking over the, and I look up and like he looks at me and all I hear, and I'm like, and I'm looking, what the, and that's all. It's fucking Carl, man.
Yeah, man. He didn't give a care,
You know,
man. But yeah, like I said, he's
saying
cool
like,
as shit. So, like I said, I know your show is nationwide.
Yeah,
dog,
go ahead,
so
man.
like, if anybody knows Carl, just tell him I said what's up. Tell him Ulysses Sarge, you know, said what's up. You know, so he's offered to take me out a couple times. I should have took him up, man. Fuck, I could have had a free drink. But to answer your question,
wow.
dog, I'm sorry. Now that I retired and I'm out here, what has given me joy? Honestly, dog, like I said, my family has given me, they've been my foundation, man. With all the shit that I've been going through and went through, they've been my foundation, hands down. Jesus Christ, man, I hate to sound like a broken record, Doug, but whenever I felt like it's the end or I couldn't no more, you know, dog, I even downloaded an app, what's it called, Hollow, and I just tap into it every once in a while, and dude, you feel at peace after. But Jesus Christ, of course, dog, has been my example. Even though that in today's world, it's hard to go and remember his teachings that was given to us by the Heavenly Father, dog. You know, waking up every day is a gift to me. You know, like I said, feeling how I usually feel, even though sometimes I feel like I didn't want to wake up, man. And that's that PTSD part, you know, and just other things that contribute to my mental illness. You know, I'll say what it is. It's a mental illness, you know. Sometimes we can't control it. We look for the best approach. I've gone to the VA and gone in for a lot of programs. We've balanced it, a couple things out, but you know, that's another story, man. But seeing how people with their different beliefs can actually live as one, Doug, because when you do go around throughout the United States, it's not like the big cities. Everybody doesn't live like that. They don't live crowded. They don't live annoyed by somebody else. Here where I'm at, dude, is mixed. There's a lot of white folk, obviously, but it's mixed and nobody is left out. If somebody has had a bad experience, you know, my bad, and I feel bad for you, but dude, nobody gives two shits who you are in a sense of your skin color. You know what I'm saying? And you know, the Midwest gets a bad rap. Now there's some places you go, bruh, you better speed through that bitch and lock your doors. That's for sure. But if we didn't actually get it together and live together, like I said, dog, the way people can actually be peaceful, we'd be eating just hot dogs and potatoes, man. We'd be listening to Country Joe and never listen to B.B. King, Prince, Michael Jackson, Diana Ross, Pedro Infante, Kid Rock, AC/DC, David Bowie, George Strait, Dolly Parton, and Bad Batty. No, I'm just kidding. Fuck Bad Batty, dog. But, you know, the fact that people can get along, we started learning from each other. We started listening. We started enjoying other things that we would never found that joy from, you know, music, poetry, sports. You know, I was watching a clip today where, God, man, I don't remember who it was, but he was talking about listening to Larry Bird on the radio, you know, and he was like, Bird, you know, down the way, Bird, you know, with this assist, Bird with the three, Bird, Bird, Bird. And he was like, damn, this brother's mean, man. He's a mean motherfucker, you know. And he said he opened up the paper the next day and he was like, what the fuck? This brother's bad for a white dude, you know. So it goes to show you, man, when you don't know, when you don't really, when you're not judging by the cover, dog, life could be a lot easier. And I hate to sound like Reading Rainbow or PBS, Mr. Rogers and shit, but it's truth. You know, it's actual truth. Missouri, I think, is well rounded, man. Um, and in my opinion, we have Kansas City, St. Louis, we have Columbia, and then everything in between. So there's all sorts of needs and likes for all walks of life, dog. And the best thing is we have open
Yeah.
carry. We have what's called stand your ground. So if you want to get stupid with somebody, then you know your ass is probably going to get shot. So everything here, you know, and the crime is kept low with that. You know, the fact that you can open carry, uh, you know, and stand your ground is available to citizens here. People don't fuck around too much with each other. You know, Midwest people are cool either way, dog. They
And
like everybody.
barbecue.
You know, shit, barbecue. Oh my god. Oh my god. I put on fucking 30 pounds the first month I was here, man. Barbecue. Shit. Man. Anyway, you got me you got me all over the place here. But you know, it's just everybody has love. And then when they don't like you, they'll let you know, man. They ain't gonna be like that fake motherfucker down the street and keep you around just because you give them money or some other bullshit. You know, they let you know what's up. So to me, that's what people look for in life, dog. Just, you know, go to work, make your money, go home safe, and spend it on you and your family, you know, or invest it in your future, your kids' future. That's all everybody wants to
Yeah.
do. Nobody wants to get bothered with a bunch of shit, man. And unfortunately, like I tell my wife, and she hates politics because she sees how I get. But it used to be where you can separate politics, church, and everything. But now politics is running the world. It's running everyday life. You know, somebody's getting scared. Somebody's getting lied to. You know, and very few people are getting the actual information. You know, so I mean, sometimes the opportunity and the time lost lingering about it, you know, you don't get that back. So you need to, like I said, it can eat you alive. You know, you need to step back and just like focus on your family, in my opinion.
Yeah, you're right, man. You're right. Well, like I say, to sum it all up, people just gotta back into reality.
Yeah.
It's as simple as
Be
that.
cool. Be cool. I mean, yeah, exactly, man. Everybody has a capability in going into some place and having a beer, having a hard day, and talking to the next dude over. You know, every week, like yourself, me, all the people we used to work with, all the people you work with now, you know, they're all different walks of life, you know, but yet they're able to function and you guys are able to communicate at work and cool sometimes. So, you know, it goes to show you it's really not that bad, dude. You know, we just got to stop listening to all the
Yeah.
negativity.
You're right, the bullshit, man. The
Bullshit.
BS, man. That's what we got to do, man. And like I tell a lot of people, the media is only gonna let you hear what they want you to hear or what certain people want you to hear. They're gonna
Media is
magnify
all about ratings,
negativity because negativity sells, ratings,
you know?
sex sells. You know,
Yeah,
so
dude, sex
you know,
sells and
um,
media needs negativity so their ratings go up, you know, but it's up to us to be a lot smarter than that. I know I've done some stupid shit in my day, but again, it's up to
real talk,
us,
man.
you know.
We all have. Yeah, I say we all have. I tell people, but we got to be clear though. Like when I say we've done stupid shit, you know, I say the stupid stuff we talking about is how do I say it? It's like proper stupid stuff, not some shit that'll
Yeah,
probably get us life in jail or some shit like that. You know what I'm
exactly, man.
saying?
It's
Not
minute.
no
We didn't kill
outrageous shit.
nobody. We didn't hurt nobody except for that ass. You know, so we're good to go. I love you, wifey.
You
I
know,
know you're gonna be watching later.
you know.
Gotta cover my
Oh
bases,
man,
dog.
but I hear you, man. But you know what, man? Before we get out of here, we've been over an hour. What I like to do is get a guest time to go ahead and say what you gotta say, promote what you gotta promote, let people know what's going on. But before I do that, I do have a sponsor for this show that I have to play. So if you ever in Houston, Texas, and you need an attorney, or the Texas area and you need a lawyer, contact Stringfellow Taylor and Associates. You check this clip out. 1 second.
You're in traffic, you're at a red light, you get an unexpected ass kicking, road rage at its best. You need legal advice and action. Call us now, Stringfellow Taylor and Associates at 888-777-LEGAL.
Damn. Let me write that number down, dog. I know some hot-headed motherfuckers driving around here.
It happens.
Okay. All right, man. Well, first and
happens.
foremost,
You
dude.
know, you might be at a red light, you blow the horn at the wrong person.
No, for real. Dog.
Go
You
ahead.
know one thing that you like, dude. You know one more quick thing, dog. Nobody honks here. You could be sitting at a green light, it could turn green, and people will sit there and they'll give you about 30 seconds before they honk, dog. That's how cool people are here. Patient. And that's how we need to be, just calm with each other. But in all, hey, I've known you a long time. I know I haven't spoken to you in quite a bit, but we still keep in contact and all that. I appreciate you for letting me come on your podcast, Doug. Um, it's a privilege and honor for me to be on your show. I think I've tried to show you, some sort of support. Like I remember the first time you put your first track on, what was it, SoundCloud or maybe somewhere else, but you had put a track out, and I went and
Shit,
I
man,
bought
it's been so damn.
I put it
That
out,
was tough, man.
and
Appreciate it,
and
man.
I continue to root for your success, man, and everybody involved with your podcast. We need to get the real word out there, the everyday person, and that's what I do. For the longest time, I'm kind of like, I don't know if you remember back in the day, a few years back, Joe the plumber came out and talked to one of the presidents and shit. I'm kind of that guy. I know a little bit about politics. I'm not a pro, but I'll say it for you. If you want to hit me up, Sarge Depot, just Google Sarge Depot, and it'll send you to my site. I'm on Instagram, YouTube, you name it, and I'm on there. Let me know what you want to hear, or let me know some ideas, and I'll put it out there for you. I'll put it on my side in the Midwest. I know you're nationwide, my friend, but I could put it out here in the Midwest, and I'm out there for you guys as well. I just really hope everybody takes care of themselves. Don't overlook things. Take a step back before you decide what's going on in your life, before you make that horrible decision that might end up putting you locked away for life. It's really not that bad, dude. If you can't find help, I'll pray for you. But there's always somebody out there willing to help somebody else.
Hey, man, you're right. There's always somebody out there willing to help. And I tell people, we heard it a lot growing up. It's better to give than to receive. And as you get older, you appreciate that saying a little more.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So hey, like I say, we appreciate your service. we on this radio show. We appreciate you for coming through. I know you said you got bad storm going down there in the Midwest. Pretty sure it'd be some good fishing after the storm is going in a lake somewhere.
Oh, you know it.
But like I say, before we really get out, is there anything else you want to let the people know? You want to let them know where they can find you at social media? If you want them to check you out, what you got to say, where they can follow you or whatever, go ahead. I'm going to give you a solo. Just go ahead. Say what you got to say.
Hey, and I appreciate that too, man. Again, at Sarge Depot, look me up. It's mostly political, and it's a lot of if you're soft, man, don't even come to my page. Pretty much. I'm gonna say it how it is. I'm gonna offend people, and I'm gonna be funny. And sometimes funny, it's not funny to other people, but man, just everybody take care of yourselves, man. Just let's get it together. Let's get it together at Sarge Depot. Hit me up. Let me know what's good.
That's what's up, man. So, like I say, man, this is West of the 110, the West Warrior Sunday interviews with my boy Sarge, man. Tomorrow, Monday, is going to be live, 7 p.m. sharp. West of the 110 with the team. That could be anybody. Mr. Rush Stringfellow in Houston, Mr. Milo in Port Arthur, Brother Rose and AZ, Big LA in Bakersfield, Yogi Loco, AZ. And your boy Sneaking Deacon Don out here in California may join. So anybody that wants to be a part of this show, like I say all the time, you can reach out to us on any of our social media sites. Leave us a message, comment on one of the videos and say, hey, how can I be a part of the show? We might reach out to you. So again, we appreciate your service, Sarge. We appreciate you for coming on the show. The West Warrior Sunday interviews. Real talk going in and just take a break. We'll see y'all next week.
Marine Corps.